Burdell and others for allowing us to be here today. All of us who are grandparents have gone into those gift shops and seen the little sign that says, if you break it, you own it. You know, if you break it, you own it. That means if your grandchild really likes that plastic pony and breaks it, you bought the plastic pony. Ohio is changing the rules. If I take you to the headquarters of Statoil, the Norwegian state oil company in Oslo, or to Paris, the headquarters of Total SA, the French national oil company, or to Beijing, the headquarters of Sinopec, Chinese national overseas oil company, I'd be talking to the three major investors in the Utica shale in the central area of Ohio, and the Marcellus shale of Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, and a portion of eastern Ohio. Those areas require a great deal of capital to do all the drilling and all the transporting and all the pipelines and everything. The capital is coming from Beijing, Paris, and Oslo. What is behind this effort is a massive amount of capital, and that's what's needed to do major industrialization of what previously had been very peaceful, bucolic, agricultural areas of eastern Ohio. What's occurring, though, is the loss of the agricultural base is just one small piece. Longer term, Ohio is losing in its water supply. Ohio is losing in its ability to handle significant amounts of liquid waste, and we and others are going to lose in our landfills the ability to deal with some of the issues of radionuclide disposal, radium sulfate and the like. We, people interested in it, feel that Ohioans are not alerted yet to the consequences of this legacy problem. Because the people who are breaking Ohio and who want to break 2,250 wells in Ohio are not going to bear the cost. So they'll break it and then they'll leave it. And the money from that sale of gas going from Ohio to the export terminal for liquid natural gas in Cove Point, Maryland, and to the West Coast for export there, and to the north for export to Quebec and Ontario. They are not going to be owning the chemical waste, the toxicology issues, the breathing issues, and the like that are left behind. So specifically, as an old guy, as a 66-year-old, I can say I'm very concerned about the legacy for my grandchildren here in Ohio. The ponds of wastewater, the residues of the large concrete drill sites, the high-pressure injection wells, the road damage, the fresh water removed from our lakes, the spills, the spill areas and the like, and the groundwater in the future cycles of leaks. This is a legacy I'm not happy with. But I realize in the political system we have, unless things change 193 days from now, when the gubernatorial election is held, unless we change things and decide to get interested in it, we are going to leave the choices of what to do, what to clean up, to the people in Oslo, the people in Beijing, and the people in Paris. And to, of course, Wall Street and Chesapeake and Mobil and Exxon and all that. But we own the waste because we are left behind with the drill bit. We are left behind with the rock. We're left behind with the wastewater and the other materials. We're not going to get a federal bailout because the petroleum industry was exempted. I published 45 textbooks and 200 published articles. Many of my books are in the field of brownfield and superfund cleanup and the like. This industry is exempt. So there won't be a federal bailout for Ohio. There won't be a sudden federal intrusion because the oil companies are so powerful in Washington that there's not going to be a federal government coming in and taking over from cases. We don't have a cleanup fund for it in Ohio. And so what's going to occur here, the folks who are taking the gas away from Ohio are leaving behind radioactive material, liquid waste, and a variety of other things that are not going to be borne and are not going to be paid for by the people who are taking the gas. If you're unable to get home insurance in Eastern Ohio, if you're unable to get a mortgage in Eastern Ohio, if you're unable to continue a job that involved agriculture, dairy, and things like that, if your roads are destroyed in rural counties, by the weight of the massive trucks. Those challenges you're going to face in eastern Ohio, like those of all of us in the rest of the state, are not being picked up by the folks in Oslo and Beijing and Paris. So what will be the effect of us? Well, the first is physically it's going to be a pretty ugly state and a pretty contaminated state when they're done. I can say when they're done because we're talking now about gas in shale, which dissipates very quickly. I'm not a radiologist. I'm not an expert in radiology, but the people who are very familiar with radionuclide materials say the radium sulfide has a half-life of perhaps 10,000 years. You would rather not be exposed to radium sulfate. I'm not a geologist, so I can't say precisely how rapidly the gas is going to dissipate, but it is a significant 3 to 5 year, 3 to 7 year cycle.
Is that the only isotope of radium?
Well, there's several, but again, I'm not claiming the medical degree. Those who have worked with U-238 and the like, and the deterioration products from it, say that if you bring it up from under the ground 20,000 feet down, and you get that, you technically enhance it, you're going to have a significant half-life, a significant difference. So, what we're facing then is the effect of the radionuclide content, the lung effects of the diesel particulates of 24/7 injection wells and the like, the ingestion of milk and agricultural products from Eastern Ohio. You're going to look at a variety of other sociology displacements as the people that struck it well. The people that had that land and sold it to the oil company or leased it to the gas company, they moved and they're gone. But the people who are their neighbors around are not going to have that largesse, if you will. So we in Ohio are going to be left with that problem. We are going to be left holding the environmental bag. What I'm arguing for is that the legislature and whoever is the new governor at noon on January 1st, 2015, that the legislature and the governor get together some form of economic assurance that after the waste is left, somebody will be there to pick it up. I know, having taught at UC for 34 years, I know there are shell companies that are doing the drilling, and it's the Smith Company LLC that won't be around after the waste is identified. So we're going to be hearing over the next 193 days a lot of television commercials that say, Kasich created jobs, Kasich created jobs, keep Kasich, get jobs. Yes, in Eastern Ohio there are truck driving jobs, and there are park supply jobs, and there are hotel jobs and the like, for the support of an itinerant industry, or people who will be moving out in 3 to 5 years after the gas is gone. And so as we're flooded with those jobs claims on television, we're thinking, gee, he's done a great job of getting jobs for people in Ohio. But longer term, the legacy is with us. The legacy of the cleanup is not being paid for by the people in Oslo, and Beijing, and Paris. It's going to fall to our grandchildren, sorry, my grandchildren. I don't know if you have any in Ohio, but it's going to be a significant issue. So that's what I'd like to ask you to think about. Allie, you and I will take questions now. Please. Ed?
Yeah, Jim, just to run